Okay, having a look at our Year 8 Maths Quiz 3 for the term. So we're looking at a bit of algebra, index laws and ratios. So we've got the first question is looking at this expression here, and we want to look at how many terms it has, the constant term, variables and coefficient of y. So looking at this one, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. Our constant term is that -9. Our variables are x and y, because we have an x and a y in there, and our coefficient of the y is 4. Here we're simplifying, so we want to look for like terms. So we have 3a, and we don't have any other a's, so we're going to write 3a here. Then we've got plus 4b, take 2b, and plus b. Now 4b take 2b is going to give us 2b. When we add a b, that becomes 3b. Here we're simplifying with multiplication, so we're going to do 5 times 2 is 10. Then we've got xy times y, so they've got one of the x's, and y times y is going to give us y squared. Then we've got an expanding question, so I draw in my lines to tell me what I'm going to multiply. So I've got 3a times b, and then I've got 3a times 2a. So I get 3ab for the first part, and then I get 6a squared for the second part. When I'm factorising, I'm doing the opposite. So I'm breaking it down and then putting it into brackets. So my 4xy I can write as 4 times x times y. My 8x squared I can write as 4 times 2 times x. So I can circle that we have a 4 in common and we have an x in common. So we can put the 4x out the front, and then inside we've got y plus 2x. Here we've got some simplifying using our index laws. So we want to show that line of working. So we've got m to the 4 plus 5, because when we're multiplying with the same base, we add the indices. So we get m to the 9. When we're dividing, we're going to subtract. So we've got 9 take 4 is equal b to the 5. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Here we've got the d to the power of 0, but it's multiplying by 3. So we've got 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And our last one is where we've got the brackets. Now that 2 outside the brackets applies to both of the things inside the brackets. So we've got 3 squared, and we've got b to the 4 times 2. So we can write that as 9b to the power of 8. Okay, turning on to the back, we've got some ratio and rates questions. So the first one is writing an equivalent ratio for 1:5. Now you can come up, be very creative with this. You can write things like 2:10, you could have 3:15, you could have 4:2, and remembering once we've got this one, we're multiplying by 5 to get the next one. So 4:20. So basically if you start with any number, multiply by 5 to get the next one. Here we've got some simplifying. Now we've got 20:4. We want to simplify that. So we can divide both of them by 4 and we get 5:1. Here we've got money, so it's not the same dollars, and like one's in dollars, one's in cents. Change them both to cents. So we get 200:20. And then we can divide both sides by 10. So we get 20:2. And then we can divide both sides by 2. So we would get 10:1. Here we've got some fractions. So looking at what number we could multiply by to get rid of this one on the bottom. Now, if we multiply both by 10, that'll get rid of that 10, and it also will get rid of the 5, because 5 goes into 10. So if we times by 10, we're going to get a 1 here, and then we're going to get a 2 here. If you're not sure of that, you can always do that part on your calculator and go 1/5, and multiply by 10, and you can get that 2 there and see what that answer is. When we're dividing into a ratio, we always want to know the total parts first. So we're in a 2 parts is to 3 parts. So our total parts is 5. So we've got 2 and 3. Then we want to find out what 1 part is equal to. So we get what our $50 is over that total parts. And that's going to be 10. That means each of these numbers we're going to times by 10. So we get $20 is to $30. We always do a check at the end to make sure that that is going to be equal to what we started at. So the 20 plus 30, making sure that's equal to 50. Then we've got here, if a car travels at 120 kilometres in 2 hours, find its speed in simplest terms. So we've got 120 kilometres in 2 hours. We want to know for 1 hour. So if we divide the 120 by 2, we will get 60 kilometres per hour. The next part of the question has, if a car travels at 60 kilometres per hour, how long does it take to do 300 kilometres? So every 1 hour it's doing 60. So we want to know how many lots of 60 are in there. And if we do 300 divided by 60, we get 5, so that will be 5 hours.